Hello and welcome back. So guys, in this video we're gonna talk about one more interesting thing when it comes to the props. Again, we're talking about the props, but we are using the props from the attributes in the index.js. Means we're actually rendering through the React DOM. Okay, one more thing I want to clear, that here we're also rendering, but it's not the React DOM, it's a general component. This is the DOM, means here we're actually sending the data to the document and here we're rendering it. Okay, so there's a very tiny difference between this render and that render anyway. So you can see that here we are importing the React and React DOM too, and here we're only importing the React. So I think this point is clear. Anyway, the next point we want to talk about is, you can see that we are picking the data from the attributes, but we can do one more thing. There are some limitations when we are talking about the JSX. For example, we must have to close the tag, so we cannot just leave it like that. However, if this is, for example, we are using some input tag, even here if we are making this p, we just cannot use this input tag like that. Okay, we have to close it by this way, or I'm deleting that and I can do one more thing, I can add any space and this like that. Okay, so now this is acceptable. That means you just cannot leave it as blank as it can be, as we do. For example, if you're going with the br tag, so we have to do like that, otherwise it won't work perfectly. This is a rule. So same rule goes for the index.js, where we are actually sending the data, the attributes now. But we can go with this way or that way too, like that. You can see that. This is also acceptable. This class the class component, the class data, some data from the class component, and another attribute, some new component data. And here the ending tag. Now, between those tags, we are even allowed to add some text. This is another kind of props. This is called the children props. I'm sending some data, like some data from the middle, or I can say from the children. Okay, now this is not an attribute. This is the data we were sending. This some new component data we were sending through the attribute in the JSX, but this is not the attribute. This is something we are actually writing inside the tag, the class component tag. So to receive this kind of data in the class component, I'm talking about the class component by now, not the functional component. However, we can receive the children data to the both of the components, but now talk about the class component. So for example, here we want to receive the data. So what was that? We was using this class component. Okay, so I'm writing the children data, and all we need to do is to write, first of all, this dot props, again the props, but now we're not going to mention the attribute because that was not the attribute. We're going to mention the children. That's awesome, that's simple, that's cool. I'm going to the browser now. Here you're able to see the children data, some data from the children. So this is the data actually coming from the children. If, for example, let's make some changes in it, I'm going to the index.js file. Here is the data, some data from the children. I'm writing some data from the other children and saving it. Now I can go to the browser by now. Here you can see that the children data, some data from the other children. This is what the change we've made previously. So now that's awesome. What more we need? I'm going back to the panel. So that's, I think, perfect. Now I'm gonna do some changes in the app2, the functional. So now this one, I'm going with the first one because I have used the app multiple times. This is not a very great way, but we can do this, so we did it. But I'm going to tell you another ways to make the components reusable. So anyway, first of all, I'm deleting that. This should be deleted. Okay, now I need to end this up with the same wording. And here I'm adding some data. For example, here I'm sending data like some data from functional component. Here I'm mentioning some children data from the functional component. Now I'm going to the app.js because here I need to receive that data. First of all, where you want to receive the data, I'm going right here and the p tag here, and like that I'm going inside and I'm writing something like some the children data of functional component. Okay, awesome. Now what more I again need the curly braces, but here we do not need to use the this is actually belongs to the class in the React. We need to call the props because we are absolutely receiving the props in the the general JavaScript way. So this is the JavaScripting. Anyway, I'm gonna tell you one more thing, that whenever you are able to use the functions, you should use that because it is easy and it's predictable. It is predictable. So you should use the functional components. The class components becomes unpredictable many times when you apply a lot of code. So unless you need things, you should not use the class component. That's not very recommended. Anyways, there are many things which only class component can do, and we're going to talk about them too later. Anyway, here dot children, and I need to save that, and I'm going to the browser back. Here I need to refresh the page. I did it, and I'm going to get the I did not even need to refresh the page because it automatically get refreshed. And here the children data of the functional component. So we are getting nothing right here. We need to go back to check what wrong we did. We did nothing wrong ultimately. The props are children's here. Okay, we closed it rightly. So some children data. I think there is something I missed. Here you can see that I'm using the app 2 times, and in the only one I added there's some children data, not the second one. So I need to go back to the browser to double check what I did. And here, yes, I was right, because you can see that the children data of functional component, there is nothing, but here the children data of functional component, some children data from functional component. This is we're getting from the index.js for this app.js file. And all this text is actually not the part of the first time using of the app component in the index.js file. The second one, this one is the second one where we didn't apply that. We applied on the first time only. So now I think we got it, and in the next video we're going to talk about some more things. Till then, stay tuned.